You think you're choosing your reality, but look closer. Is it choice? Or is it repetition with a better costume? You set new goals. You speak the affirmations. You take aligned action. But somehow, life keeps handing you the same script, just dressed in different actors, timelines, and names. What if you're not creating your life? You're looping it? Not consciously, but energetically, silently, automatically, like a song on repeat that your nervous system knows by heart. You don't hear the music, but it's playing, and it's not coming from your mind. It's coming from the frequency you protect, not the one you claim, not the one you post, the one you've armored around your identity, the one that says, "This is who I have to be to feel safe." Pause. Breathe that in, because that's what's choosing your reality, not your effort, not your strategy, not your vision board, the hidden scripts beneath your awareness, the parts of you that still don't trust ease, the patterns that learn survival through struggle. You think you're the puppeteer, but maybe you're still the puppet, pulled by a string called unconscious safety. And the universe? It's not judging, it's just reflecting, perfectly, like a mirror, not of what you say, but of what you signal. And this leads us into something deeper. Because if you are not choosing your reality, who is? Let's soften into what this really means. You don't manifest what you want. You manifest what your body believes it can survive. Read that again. Because this is the first hidden force running your life. The safety loop of the subconscious. You see, the subconscious doesn't care about your goals. It cares about consistency, familiarity, predictability. Even if that predictability is pain. Your nervous system isn't wired for your dreams. It's wired for your survival. And whatever you survive became your standard. That heartbreak, that silence, that self-abandonment, it encoded itself into your tissues until it became a signal. And that signal says, this is home, even if it hurts, even if it contradicts everything you now say you want. Because to the subconscious, familiar suffering feels safer than unfamiliar freedom. It's like a thermostat set years ago by unspoken pain. No matter how much heat you try to add, your system will unconsciously cool things back down to the baseline of what's known. You'll sabotage the love that feels different. You'll doubt the ease that feels new. You'll delay the success that moves too fast. Not because you're broken, but because your subconscious is brilliant at keeping you alive, even if it costs you joy. Neuroplasticity shows us this. The brain wires itself around repeated emotion. And what you repeated most in survival becomes your truth until you meet it and rewire it. So when things don't manifest, it's not because you didn't want them. It's because deep down, your body wasn't sure it was safe to have them. And this is the first loop we must love our way out of. You've been told your dreams are blocked by fear, that your resistance is a mindset problem, that if you just believed harder, it would all unfold. But what if your body isn't resisting your expansion? It's revering it? What if your trembling isn't weakness? It's sacred, because your biology is not biased toward your goals. It's biased toward regulation, toward safety, toward known rhythms. Even if those rhythms are soaked in scarcity, even if love feels like risk, even if joy sets off alarms. Pause. Not everything that feels good is safe to the body that learned in trauma. Sometimes peace feels threatening. Sometimes ease feels suspicious. Sometimes abundance feels too quiet. And that's not a failure. That's physiology. You see, the nervous system doesn't speak in affirmations. It speaks in sensation. And sensation is shaped by memory. Memory of what you survived. Memory of what was too much. So now, when you get close to your dream, and your chest tightens, and your mind floods with doubt, that's not sabotage. That's your biology bowing to what it doesn't yet know how to hold. Upper limits aren't mental ceilings. They are embodied thresholds, places where your system says, this is bigger than what I've been built to receive. But that's not the end. That's the edge, where expansion becomes devotion, where growth becomes nervous system fluency. And once you know that, you stop fighting yourself. You've been speaking new truths, whispering intentions into vision boards, chanting mantras into mirrors. But still, nothing shifts. Why? Because the field doesn't hear what you say. It tunes to the feeling beneath the noise. This is the second hidden force. The The frequency echo of emotional memory. C. Every emotion you've ever felt leaves a residue, not just in your mind, but in your field, in your heart rhythm, in your electromagnetic pulse. And those old emotions, they don't just disappear. They echo. Even when you've outgrown the story, the signal still hums beneath the surface, quiet but commanding, like a radio stuck between stations. One hand on the dial of possibility, the other anchored in a static of old pain. You say abundance, but the signal says fear of losing it. You affirm, I am worthy, but the field picks up, I am still waiting to prove it. This is where Dr. Joe Dispenza's work comes alive. You're always broadcasting, and coherence is not about words. It's about emotional integrity. When your intention and your body's memory sing in the same key, the field listens. But until then, you could do all the right things. But it's like speaking a new language, with the accent of an old wound. And the quantum field, it doesn't judge. It just matches. Signal to signal. Emotion to echo. Pattern to vibration. So ask yourself gently, what signal is still running beneath you? Not your vision board, your vibration board. Let's slow this down. Breathe, because this isn't about blame. And you're not broken. You're not sabotaging yourself. You're protecting yourself from what once felt unbearable. Every delay, every loop, every almost that slipped through your fingers was your system keeping you safe from a version of reality it wasn't sure you could survive. And that's not dysfunction. That's intelligence. You're not manifesting the wrong thing. You're manifesting the safest thing. Not the most aligned, not the most exciting, the most familiar, the most nervous system approved. Your signal isn't wrong. It's outdated. A perfect echo of old experiences, still coded into your frequency. But here's the shift. You don't fix this through force. You don't override it with effort. You meet it with presence, with breath, with a gaze that says, I see why you chose this. And now you get to choose again. Because breaking free doesn't begin with more doing. It begins with witnessing, noticing the signal without judgment, holding it gently, and inviting it to evolve. You're not behind. You're not cursed. You're not failing. You're broadcasting from a signal that was once sacred protection. And now you're learning to tune it with love. You've done the work. You've sat with your shadows, rewrote the scripts, rewired the patterns. And still, something feels off, heavy, loud, like background noise you can't quite name. Here's why. Your nervous system doesn't just listen to you. It listens to the room. And the room is often afraid. This is the third hidden force. Vibrational entanglement with collective fear. You're not just tuning your own frequency. You're surrounded by an orchestra, playing a symphony of scarcity, shame, urgency, survival. Even if you've outgrown it, you can still feel it because the field is co-regulated. You're wired for belonging. And sometimes that means unconsciously dimming your light to match the room's emotional volume. Not out of weakness, out of ancient love, out of ancestral memory that says, stay small, stay safe, stay part of the tribe. This isn't just poetic, it's science. Morphic resonance, social entrainment, the way herds sync breath, the way hearts beat in rhythm during rituals. We are entangled, emotionally, energetically, biologically. You inherited more than DNA. You inherited emotional blueprints. The fears your lineage never got a name. The frequencies society still swims in. And when you try to rise, it can feel like betrayal, like exile, like being out of tune with the people you love. But here's the sacred truth. You are not here to match the room. You are here to change the music. And sometimes that means stepping out of the symphony long enough to remember your own sound, to find coherence in stillness, to attune to truth, not fear. This is not disconnection. This is devotion. Devotion to becoming a signal strong enough to hold love even when the room forgets. Let's slow it down now. Let everything we've uncovered settle in your body, in your breath, in your being. Because here's the deeper truth. You're not the signal. You are the tuner. And that changes everything. You don't have to force the frequency. You don't have to scream your desires into the void. You don't have to fight your past to create your future. You just have to tune, like a fork held in stillness. When it finds the right vibration, the whole room shifts. not through effort, but through resonance. The field doesn't ask what you want. It responds to what you're being. So the question becomes, what are you calibrating to right now? What emotion is humming beneath your words? What identity are you rehearsing in silence? This isn't about doing more. It's about listening deeper. Because when you realize you are the tuner, you stop chasing. You stop proving. You stop asking for permission to change. You breathe. You feel. You align. And the field responds. Not to your potential, but to your presence. Sit with that. Let it ripple. We're no longer reaching outward. We're learning to return inward. Because alignment isn't something you achieve. It's something you remember. You want to break the loop. To stop repeating the same stories. Under new disguises. To finally feel, this time will be different. But the way out isn't more doing. It's deeper safety. Because the subconscious doesn't open to force. It opens to trust. And trust lives in the body. This is the threshold most people skip. Not mindset shifts. Not bigger goals. But nervous system restoration. You can only step into a new reality if your body feels safe inside it. Because the universe mirrors your internal yes. And your body only says yes to what it feels safe to touch. This is where manifestation meets somatics. Where your desires must pass through the gateway of breath, of sensation, of presence. Where inner child healing isn't abstract. It's the act of holding the part of you that still flinches at abundance, still tightens around love, still mistrusts ease. Safety is not a side quest. It's the frequency that shapes the field. When your body feels safe to receive, the field responds instantly. New opportunities land. Old stories loosen. Synchronicities accelerate. Not by chance, by coherence. So ask gently, what parts of me still believe? Safety lives in the struggle? What if peace became my new protection? What if stillness became my You don't have to be faster. You just have to be safe enough to be true. And that changes everything. You want to shift the signal. To stop the old echoes from hijacking your now. To stop vibrating with wounds that no longer define you. But you don't change the signal by yelling louder. You change it by tuning deeper. This is emotional alchemy. Not bypass. Not suppression. Not fixing your feelings so they go away. But feeling. Fully, reverently, without rush. Because feeling is clearing. The emotions you avoid become frequency residue. But the ones you meet with presence, they transmute. This is not just poetic. It's physiological. Breath regulates the vagus nerve. Stillness reorders brainwave patterns. Heart-brain coherence shifts the body from survival to creation. And yes, even your genes listen. Epigenetics shows us. Emotions can switch expression on or off. Safety and presence change the body at the level of code. So when you sit with your grief, without judging it, when you breathe through old fear, without fleeing it, when you hold your shame like a child, not a curse, you're not getting stuck, you're getting free. This is the real work, the hidden magic, the quantum healing most never talk about. Because the field doesn't respond to performance. It responds to presence. And the more you let yourself feel, the more you let yourself shift. So the mantra is simple. Feeling is clearing. Presence is power. Emotion is frequency made fluid. And when you become safe enough to feel it all, you become coherent enough to receive it all. There comes a point in your evolution where staying entangled becomes too heavy. Not because you're above it, but because you're finally clear. Clear enough to know your reality is not a democracy. You don't need consensus to create coherence. This is the power of sacred detachment, not disconnection, not coldness, but the loving release of frequencies that are no longer yours to carry. You don't have to tune in to every channel just because it's broadcasting loudly. Most people live inside a broadcast tower, wired into collective fear, outrage, urgency. It's addictive. It's normalized, but it's not required. Step out. Choose silence over noise. Choose stillness over scroll. Choose resonance over relevance. This is energetic hygiene, media fasting, nervous system-centered community, conscious consumption of emotion and attention. You're not just protecting your peace. You're protecting your signal. Because the field listens to clarity. And clarity comes when you stop diluting your energy. with frequencies that never belong to you. Remember, compassion does not require enmeshment. Love does not require absorption. You can hold the world in your heart without letting it rewrite your frequency. So ask yourself, what am I still tuning into out of guilt? What emotional contracts am I ready to dissolve? Where have I confused connection with co-suffering? Detachment is not escape. It's embodiment. It's remembering. You are the channel. You're the broadcast. You're the one who tunes the field. Here's what no one tells you about alignment. It's not perfection. It's not constant positivity. It's not control over outcomes. Alignment is coherence. When your internal frequency matches the truth of who you are becoming. And sometimes that frequency crackles. Sometimes it trembles. Sometimes it cuts in and out like a radio, searching for the right station. That doesn't mean you're failing. It means you're tuning. You're allowed to be a work in frequency. You're allowed to wake up aligned and fall asleep full of doubt and still be on the path. Because alignment isn't a finish line. It's a practice, a remembering, a return. It's not about getting it right. It's about becoming honest, not pretending you feel clear, but meeting yourself in the fog and choosing to listen anyway. So if you've been thinking, I'm behind, I'm blocked, I'm not vibrating high enough, pause. You're not late. You're not broken. You're not off track. You're tuning in. Even now, even here, you're closer than you think. Because the field doesn't demand that you be perfect. It responds to presence, to willingness, to honesty. So take a breath, place your hand on your heart, and remember, you don't have to be certain to be aligned. You just have to be connected. Let's turn inward now, not as escape, but as return. This isn't theory. This is frequency work, not something you think about, something you feel through. So settle, soften, breathe. Let your presence become your broadcast. You are the tuner, and the moment is asking, will you choose your frequency or default to the one you've inherited? Let's practice. First, close your eyes, drop into your breath, and ask gently, what emotion am I still broadcasting? Not what you wish it was, not what you posted about, but what you feel in your chest, your belly, your spine. Just name it. No judgment, just witnessing. Now, breathe deeper and ask, what does safety feel like in my body today? Is it warmth, stillness, a loosening in the jaw, a softening in the heart? Let your body answer in sensation, not sentence. And finally, what signal do I choose to become? A choice, not a performance. Rooted in presence, in breath, in truth. Feel that signal. Feel it hum. Let it take shape inside you and let it radiate. You don't have to push it outward. You become it, and the field will follow. Because when your internal broadcast is clear, your reality reconfigures in response. Let that be enough. Let that be everything. The quantum field doesn't delay. It doesn't test. It doesn't withhold. It reflects. Instantly. Impartially. Intimately. Not to your effort, but to your embodiment. Reality is not responding to what you're doing. It's responding to what you become. This is the shift most never make. They chase. They strive. They try to pull new outcomes into old identities. But the field is not a vending machine. It's a mirror. You don't attract what you chase. You attract what you are, what you hold in your breath, in your nervous system, in your being. Pause. Let that land. This means your next reality isn't waiting on more effort. It's waiting on more coherence. Not someday. Not once it's perfect. Now. Because every time you tune into a new frequency, a quieter trust, a deeper safety, a softer presence, you shift the signal. And the field, it moves with you, not out of reward, but out of resonance. This is not magic. It's mechanics, vibration, reflection. So if nothing's changing out there, don't look harder. Listen deeper. The mirror isn't broken. It's precise. And you are already affecting everything. Just by existing differently. Let that truth reach your bones. You don't need to wait. You just need to tune. No more striving. No more waiting. No more proving. Just breath. Just presence. Just truth. Because the deeper you go, the simpler it gets. You are the signal. The rest is response. Not a reflection of your effort, but of your essence. Not of how hard you try, but how fully you become. You don't need to fix yourself to receive. You don't need to be louder to be heard. You don't need to chase what you're already radiating. Pause here. Feel that. Because this is where the loop closes, where the seeking ends, where the being begins. You're the frequency. You are the tuner. You are the field, collapsing time through presence, rearranging matter through embodiment, shifting timelines through inner stillness. Say it softly. I am a signal. I am a frequency. I am a moment. Let it echo in your chest. Not as mantra, but as knowing. Let it move from idea to identity, from whisper to reality. Because the more gently you embody this truth, the more clearly the world reflects it. So don't look for signs. Be the sign. And as you walk back into your life, into the emails, into the conversations, into the small, silent choices, walk as the field itself, calibrated, clear, undeniable, because the field is listening, and it's already answering. Win face in the comments. Share one word that reflects your signal this week. Your frequency, your field. We'll feel it with you.